I think one of the things that got us started with wrestling is that the Unidome was opening in 1976, and so it was Iowa and UNI wrestling at the Unidome, first ever event. Later, we did the Iowa State meet, and that was at the field house, the Iowa's old rickety old field house on that great big huge mat they had. And it was in the middle of a blizzard. We had 3 carloads of crew going to Iowa City to cover it, and 2 of them went in the ditch. So, but we covered it with a limited coverage, and we all thought, you know, wrestling is part of the fabric of the state. We need to do more of that. And so that was the beginning of wrestling on Iowa Public Television.
We're looking for outstanding matches up and down the line.
We did Iowa State, Iowa, Northern Iowa, and even Drake at the time had wrestling.
Carver Hawkeye Sports Arena.
We covered the very opening of the Carver Hawkeye Arena in 1983. That was the first event in Carver Hawkeye, and of course it was wrestling again, and public television was there to do it.
It's college wrestling's 10th anniversary.
Thereafter, it took off. We got to be known nationally for our coverage. For years, we did Division I wrestling only. At some point in time, we saw, wow, the Iowa Conference, is what it was called at the time, has tremendous wrestling at Division III level. And so we started televising the Iowa Conference Championships, and we got to see a quality of wrestling that I think people in the state didn't realize existed. I mean, it was fantastic, wide open wrestling, and it just further expanded people's interest and appreciation for what the sport has to offer. We had to kind of develop a new formula, if you will, or what we thought worked in our minds. There was virtually no wrestling coverage on television back in the 70s. But we thought, you know, the important thing is to be at a mat level. You need that overhead perspective to see where the wrestlers are in relation to the mat. To us, the beauty of it is the close-ups. And so we developed having our cameras on what they call low boys. Tripods on wheels that are only a foot off the ground. So you'd be right there and you could shoot right into the eyes of the wrestlers. And also, you know, when they're on their feet, there's big takedown moves. You can see the amplitude.
Whoa, nice shot, nice counter. For the second match
will
and so on.
Choice in the even-numbered matches.
All right, Iowa State has the choice in the even match.
It's kind of standard now to hear wireless microphones on athletes and things like that. But back in the day, that really wasn't the case. And so we always had a wireless microphone on the official. And that way you could hear the instructions he would give to them. But it also just picked up a lot of ambient noise.
He's got 44 seconds riding time. Come on, move. He's got riding time, 44 seconds. Get him on there, let's go.
So you'd hear the intensity of the wrestling. You'd hear a lot of that mat noise. It's kind of become the model, I think, for most wrestling coverages. In 1981, Iowa and Iowa State were wrestling at Ames. Iowa was the defending national champion. Randy Lewis was wrestling Jim Gibbons. Lewis put his arm out, and he dislocated his elbow right there on our air.
There it is.
Right there.
Right here. Where do you see it? There's the arm.
We had a wireless microphone on the referee. We could hear that Randy was really injured.
They're getting a stretcher for Randy Lewis.
There's the elbow. You can see it right there. He's holding it before the match has even stopped.
Gibbons ended up winning by an injury default. That was essentially a 6-point swing. The dual meet kind of turned. Iowa State wins. The team storms the mat. Fans going wacko. They're crazy. 1986, it was Iowa against Iowa State again. Iowa had won 8 national championships in a row in this one. It was kind of the duel of all duels. It came down to the final match. Iowa State won it. Gibbons is getting his arm raised. He's up on the team's shoulders. He's getting paraded around Hilton. It was quite the epic one. In 1988, Dan Gable's Hawkeyes have never lost at Carver. They've won 43 straight. They've never been beaten. Iowa State comes in as they're the defending national champion now. And so it's like Iowa State's going to take the string away from Carver. Nope, Brooks Simpson gets Volker in some kind of throw man, puts him on his back, pins the defending national champion. Carver Hawkeye goes crazy. Brooks Simpson's dad comes running out on the mat. Phil Henning, the referee, says, "Get out of here, get off the mat." And all of a sudden, you know, Iowa comes back and wins the dual meet, and Iowa State's in shock. I mean, it's just, you know, they should have had it, and the Carver win streak was preserved. So wrestling, it's its own fiber. It's mano on mano. There's really no place to hide. And I think that's what it is about college wrestling. It's such a pure sport. It makes you want to follow it and appreciate what it takes to be successful at that level.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Doug Brown.
And I'm Dave Hardy.
And welcome to another in our IPBN wrestling series.
When we first started, there was a gentleman named Doug Brown, and he became the glue of our coverage. We had Chuck Patton. Chuck was a former coach at Northern Iowa.
Well, I need to take a little bit of time and raise my daughter.
Chuck retired, and we brought in a person by the name of Tim Johnson. You might have heard of him. In my opinion, he took it to a different level.
Crucial matches tonight.
When Doug retired, Tim and Dan Gable took over.
Dan Gable and Dan.
Then we brought in Jim Gibbons, too, as a third commentator. And together, those three really made it great. I mean, people really tuned in for that. They knew their stuff. And so was that a golden era? Absolutely. I'm really happy that I could be part of that. It was so much fun, and it was such a challenge to do. I think it's wonderful that public television is on the forefront of doing Division III wrestling, women's wrestling. That sort of coverage now is wonderful. It's what public television is supposed to do. It's what it's made to do. And wrestling fans are lucky to have that sort of coverage now in the state.